Hey, Cheers of Christ, your girl Creamy here, and happy, blessed, awesome Wednesday. And I know you're like, wait, why? What? I know, my friends, the schedule these days has been very interesting. A lot of things have been popping up to just take priority. But either way though, I never forget you guys. So with that said, welcome to my channel and welcome back to my channel. For those that are tuning back, thank you so much for your wonderful, beautiful support. I know we have come a long way since this pandemic was erupted. I know my English, guys. And you're looking sparkly today. Is it your eyes? Wow, it's looking all perfect today. Just keep up the good work. Always keep smiling. I always like to encourage that to everyone that I encounter in my life, because it just generates the happy vibes and the happiness that we must be persevering through, especially right now. And a lot of things have been happening. So either way though, we just gotta keep our hopes in Christ, always trying our best, always trusting in Christ every single way possible. And I know you're probably struggling through a lot of things right now, or there's just things that are in your head right now. You're trying to tackle them, but it's giving you a hard time. So don't despair. Don't grow weary. Don't give up on Christ, because why? Christ will never give up on you. So if you're tuning in for the first time here, welcome to the family. We are a bunch of, look at them, I'm just kidding. We are just me and the family, and thank you so much for even clicking on this video and taking the time to watch. I know my videos are at least 30 minutes long, so go grab a snack, go grab your favorite beverage with you to just be cozy and relaxed from a long day from work, and just chat and chill with me. That's basically how I always love to keep all my YouTube videos and all my podcasts. If you're listening to this driving, or if you're just trying to just relax from the long day you had, that's basically the environment that I always like to set all my videos and all my podcasts, so that you are gonna feel good and feel awesome and just feel motivated and full of ambition to take on that mission that Christ has bestowed upon you in your heart, and for you to discover it and to not give up. I know I make it sound easy, but honestly, we gotta keep our hearts strong. Hearts very strong, standing for the truth, doing what's right, choosing what's right for God, not for our selfish selves, but for us to keep on persevering in our faith, even in the midst of absence, even in the midst of where's God in all this? Because why? Our Blessed Mother Mary set the good example for us to do the same. She didn't question God. She didn't doubt God. She didn't negotiate with God, as you already know. But she persevered in her unconditional, beautiful, loving yes. And even though she went through persecution herself, getting pregnant with Jesus, I'm pretty sure she didn't have it the easy way. So regardless of all that, she's the queen of heaven now. So she can do it. So can we, and we will try our best no matter what. And so with that said, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and this podcast if you already know. It greatly means so much to me from the bottom of my heart. And let me know if there's any topics that you want me to talk about. Don't feel shy. Just let me know in the comments down below. If you have any pop-up inspiration, private message me, or comment down below, and I would greatly appreciate it. So with that said, thank you so much, guys, and let's get into the podcast. So my true warriors of Christ, I want to talk to y'all about today the act of love. The act of love. What was the first thought, the first idea that comes to your head? That spark idea that comes to your mind, the act of love. For me, is caring for the well-being of the other. I know you're like, what? My friends, that is what the act of love truly means, especially in the eyes of God. And that is what we're called to do to our brothers and sisters, to our neighbors, to our enemies, especially. Even Jesus Christ said, love your enemies. And it's the hardest thing to do. The hardest thing in the worldwide world to do. It is. Especially when you got that sense of pride that's just so dominant and just takes dominance over you. Especially that. It's very hard. And I myself included, for sure. It is tough at times. But at the same time, we must be prudent by our emotions and our actions. And not acting upon how we feel in that exact moment, especially when you find out news or whatnot that just shocks us or makes us jealous or just makes us just furious or just angry. We immediately take action, and then a couple days later or maybe a couple hours later, like, wait, I shouldn't have done that. Yikes, sweat beads. So that's why whenever you come across anything, I mean any situation, any circumstance, you just take a breather, you calm yourself down, take a nap or something, clear your head so you can think straight. Because a lot of the times, we wouldn't be acting upon love at all. We would just be like showing that hatred and just that jealousy towards one another. And that's the last thing in the world that God wants us to do. The last thing in the world. So remember, my friends, first thing that I want to talk to you about is the act of love is having that desire for the well-being of the other, right? The essence of love is the act of the will by which we wish good, right? So the best thing to do out of all things is to show kindness to one another as best as you can with no expectations. Like, definitely, for sure, if you want to send a kind message to someone that's just not talking to you or blocked you or any of that sort, you still show kindness from the bottom of your heart with full genuineness, with full authenticity, even though you know they won't respond back to you. Definitely, for sure, just try your best and offer it in God's hands, because at the end of the day, God sees everything, right? So that's the least thing we could do. That's just an example, but I'm just saying in the generic perspective, in terms of showing that act of love to one another, it's the enemies. It's our enemies, our nemesis, anybody who just dislikes us. That is the hardest challenge that we are called to do every single day. Like when Jesus was dying on the cross, he didn't say, how dare you all? I've been so kind to you and you give me this. That's why, Jesus didn't even do that. Out of all things, he begged to God for forgiveness for their ignorance. For their ignorance and their lack of understanding. And that is the most beautiful way to show the act of love, right? And I know it's hard. I'm pretty sure you're thinking right now, like, I have so much people who don't like me right now. But then, although I do have people that love me, but then always remember that there are going to be people that will love you and people will hate you. I always keep on going back to that fact because we always try to impress people, but then we're pulling back on ourselves from growing because we're always trying to meet the expectations of those around us, right? So that's why we must think about that the substance of real love is not to be found in the emotions, but in the act of the will. So given with that, the real substantial part of the real love is to actually persevere in that love, not by acting by how we feel, but really it's the lovingness towards one another and knowing that we're doing it not at being fake or whatnot, but our true self, right? So that's why a lot of the times it's very important to spend time with Christ so that we will be able to see the clarity and how to act towards one another, and therefore transforming and morphing ourselves to someone greater, to someone else better than who you were yesterday, right? And a lot of the times it's within our power, our mind power, to be able to conquer that. And a lot of the times we feel that sense of that sense of fear of just not trying to be someone better that we're called to be. We are called to be better every single day, but are we listening? Are we listening to God every single day? Are we? Or are we blinding ourselves by what the media calls and slaps in our face? Right? Are we listening to God's voice? Are we listening to the voice of God in his sheer silence every day? Are you? Or are you clouding your mentality? Are you clouding your judgments in what God has placed in front of you? A lot of the times God is trying to give us the clarity, but we're too stubborn to listen, to let go of things, to let God take care of what he's trying to tell you. A lot of times God's just trying to talk to you, but then you're like, no, this is how I want it, so leave me alone. Stop. And we try to block those things that God is trying to tell us in our life. Because why? We're prideful, we're stubborn, and we're ignorant. And it's a hard pill to swallow. It is a really hard pill to swallow. But once you come to your senses and just realize that your stubbornness is at a certain level in your life, you will still be making the wrong choices in the eyes of God. You will still be leading yourself and deceiving yourself away from what God really wants you to be, to do, and to desire God's will, right? So that's why our act of love must be equally true and perfect. Equally true and perfect. I'm not saying super pitch perfect, no. To the best of our capabilities when I say perfect. The way God blessed us with the gifts, with the talents, with our personality, right? If God calls you to become the most extroverted person in the world, you let God lead you. Not gonna lie, true story. I used to be super shy in my life. Probably like, what? Are you kidding me? I'm like, no, I'm not joking. I'm not kidding, I'm not joking. Even my own parents have seen it. I mean, my holy parents, our Blessed Mother Mary, St. Joseph, Jesus Christ, God, and my actual biological parents. They have seen the way I've transformed over the course of 2 years, over the course of my life. And yeah, but now I know for sure God blessed me with that gift to utilize for him. So therefore, look within yourself. Ask yourself the question, what gifts do you have? What gifts do you have, my friends? Look within your heart, look within your mind, look within your soul through the eyes of Jesus Christ. And just see what potential you can be, what dreams you can achieve, how you can really show that act of love to one another. Even though people show hatred to you, you still try. The saying goes, kill them with kindness. It's the best way to do it. I personally love doing it, especially when I try, because it's the best way to know that you're doing the best you can by how God blessed you with the kindness in your heart, right? And even though the person just doesn't show that same way in return, there's that seed of guilt that just brews in the other person's heart because you're not reacting. You're just doing so much kindness in your heart, showing generosity in your heart, and that is what's going to make the other person feel a sense of guilt. Like, what am I doing? Why am I mean? This is not me. This is not my character, right? And I'm not saying as to use that to be savage. No, I'm not saying to do that act of kindness and that act of love to be a savage. No. You leave that in God's hands. You let God do the work on the other person to develop on themselves, to help them see the clarity, to help them realize what they're doing, and for them to not have that cloud of judgment anymore. That's God's part. You leave that in God's part. You don't expect results. When it comes to showing the act of love, you never expect results. Because at the end of the day, it's what God permits and it's what God wills, right? So it's always in our power to wish good to God, striving with all of our strength to live for Him and to please Him, right? We're not called to please others. No. I mean, of course, be modest, decent, of course, just the basic, but not to have that social media expectation of pleasing others, right? I always see multiple times people just trying to post unnecessary things that are not really necessary to post and to keep behind closed doors. But that's their choice, right? But it's our job, our Christian duty, to enlighten others, to maintain that modesty and that humility. And for us to show that act of love to one another, we must have that beautiful virtue of humility in our heart. Otherwise, we won't be able to do it. We won't be able to show that act of kindness and that act of love to one another if we don't have humility in our hearts. Unless you have humility in your heart, you're not going to be able to show that act of love to one another. Period. Like literally, you're not going to be able to respond to a text or to even send a kind message to other people who you know that just refuse to talk to you. No, you're not going to be able to, because why? That humility. Unless you have the humility, that's the key ingredient, the key element to achieve that act of love, especially like how Jesus did, and especially how our Blessed Mother Mary did. No, right? So that's why the act of love brews all the way down to what? The virtue of humility. So therefore, that leads to the fact that you must pray for the virtue of humility to be embedded in your heart. Embedded, like engraved, like tattooed on your heart. I'm not saying like actual tattoo, but you know what I mean, on the spiritual realm of actually tattooing that in your heart. Because otherwise, you're just living for yourself, full of pride, full of that ambition of just that me, myself, and I world, right? That's why think about where your pride level is at. If you know people are showing kindness to you, you show that same act of love and kindness in return. For God. Even though if it's going outside of your comfort zone, you try. You try to the best of your capabilities, knowing that God is calling you for greatness. God is calling you to be someone better. God is calling you to be humble. But remember, my friends, when you call and ask God, humbly asking God for the virtue of humility, He will not just slap you in the face with the virtue of humility just like that. No. He's gonna give you opportunities and chances and circumstances to exercise and to grow in that virtue of humility, as I mentioned before, right? So always try and don't expect. Expectation leads to disappointment. So if you do something good in the hands of God, God will reward you. God will reward you. And if you're that person right now that is full of pride to show kindness to anyone, your enemies, your nemesis, God will humble you very much. God humbled me very much in my life too. I'm not here to tell you what they are, but not gonna lie, it was very humbling. It was very hard. Persevering and questioning God so much. A lot of the time, especially the difficult times of those humbling moments, it was very, very hard, especially for me. But now that I look back, I know for sure. God's like, now you see why you had to go through that time, that phase, that time period. I'm trying to humble you to become better, so you can build my kingdom more and more each day that I bless you to live another day to live, right? But think about it. When you show more act of love to one another, the more you unionize yourself to God. The more you'll become one with God. The more you will hear God's voice. The more you will have that clear judgment. And not be so clouded in making decisions so irrationally. Just think about it. Think about it. Has there been times and opportunities to show that act of love and you didn't act upon it? Was there a time that you acted upon something based upon your emotions without thinking? You could have decided better or acted better. Think about it, right? I'm not saying to have times of regret, okay? But it's more of that reflection to just think of those times when you could have chosen better, so that it will teach you a lesson to choose better decisions, better choices, so you can choose the right pathway to Christ, the pathway of the act of love towards Christ. Not the pathway to the world, showing off, glorifying yourself, becoming prideful. No, you choose the right way, becoming humble, dedicating yourself to things that you're supposed to dedicate your time for. Not cutting off things that are of God. No. When God gives you a beautiful idea to initiate something, to build something for His glory and kingdom, you take it seriously like it's a full-time job with benefits. Actually, it is a full-time job with benefits, because why? You get graces from God. Graces from God that is according to His time, right? You don't treat anything that God calls you like I'm expecting a paycheck at the end of the day. Especially if you're working like a professional Catholic, even more so, you take your job seriously. You don't keep on working day to day to day and always expecting that paycheck. No, you push yourself beyond your limits. Of course, not extreme, but to the point that it will challenge you to go outside of your comfort zone. Reasonable, right? Always think about the word reasonable, because setting goals, right? Not goals that are not realistic, but realistic goals that will actually, you know from the bottom of your heart that you can achieve. But with God's help, with God's grace, with God's time and providence. That's one thing to always think about, especially if you're leading a ministry. That's one thing to always keep on reminding yourself. Because if you try to set goals for yourself that you know that you're not going to achieve them like that, obviously that sense of discouragement is going to start eroding inside your heart. And the enemy's just like right there, like, okay, it's about time. Go on this side, right? So you gotta take it seriously, my friends. Any ministry that you're led to create, don't quit. Quitting is just handing yourself over right into the hands of the enemy, and God knows what you're gonna do with that time. For all I know, it's for your own personal, selfish reasons. Only God will know. But who are we to judge? I'm not here to judge. That's God's job. So that's why sometimes when it comes to the act of love, try not to do what God's supposed to do. Just focus on you, focus on your faith. If you see someone that's just kind of going in the wrong way and you tried your best to just enlighten them and to show that act of kindness and love, and they still don't return that same way to you, then leave in God's hands to take care of. That's not for you to correct, okay? This is not like you can unsend a message or you can untype something or undo something on Excel spreadsheet. No. Just leave in God's hands. Let Him take care of it. He does a better job at it anyway, at enlightening people. Because we can't force people to love God. We can't force people to do something that they don't want to do at that time. So that's why showing the act of love is leaving things in the hands of God. and trusting in God's time, in God's plan, knowing that is way better than what we want for ourselves and what we desire for ourselves. It is a hard pill to swallow. I know. You're probably like, for those, especially like I myself, I always love to be in control of things. I always like to make sure everything is perfect. No, I'm not a perfectionist though, but just the point of my own expectation and standards. But if I know there's some things that I can't do personally on my own, that I can't handle on my own, I'm like, you take care of this one. You do it. Because I know if I try to do it, God knows if I'm actually going to be okay at doing it. So that's why a lot of the time, just remember that, my friends. When you try to realize where your pride level is at, remember the word humility. And there, you will try to be one step closer to Christ. And that's the goal, right? When you actually practice more on the virtue of humility, therefore you'll be able to, what? Show more of that act of love. They all are interconnected, my friends. Each virtue. But we must be brave. We must be full of fortitude to act upon that. Fortitude. What's next? Humility. Patience. They're all interconnected. So just think about it, my friends. Think about it. Where are you at right now in your journey? Right? Have the humility to realize where you are at. I'm not saying compare yourself to where people are at. Like if this person's just like God knows where, or if this person's like succeeding in their awesomeness ministry or whatever, leave it. That's God's time for them. You just focus on you. Have that like focus right now on yourself. And just think about it. Where are you at? Where are you at in your relationship with Christ? Where are you at with your pride? And just take it from there. Ask God for help. Remember, none of us can ever be successful without God. God permits things to happen. God gives us what we need when the time is right. Always remember that, my friends. So with that said, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast and another video. If you're watching this, it honestly greatly means so much to me from the bottom of my heart that you've been with me throughout this journey. And I know I had my ups and downs. I had my, let's say, MIA or hiatus. I don't know what they call it. But I always keep on trying. And I always want to give you the wonderful, happy vibes and the bubbly vibes that I always am, even offline too. Actually, speaking of, if you want to see how I really am in real life, come and join me and pray with me in the Young Rosary Prayer Words Canada on Zoom. And anybody who's watching this all around the world, you're welcome to come. Everyone is welcome to come and pray together for God, just through the intercession of our Blessed Mother Mary, and we're called for greatness. We are called for greatness. So I will include these Zoom links down below on Spotify and all the awesome podcast platforms that are out there. And you're welcome to come, bring your family, friends, and you'll really see and be like, yeah, this girl is pretty much the same thing online and offline. But I'll leave that to you to decide, to judge. I just do what I can, and I leave God to handle the rest, as what we should be doing every single day. So, with that said, God bless you all. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all soon in my next podcast, in my next video. And as I say in all my podcasts and all my videos, don't be afraid to chew words of grace.